Welcome back to Wash Talk, the Carwash Podcast. I'm your host, Rich DiPaolo, and joining me today we have Marc Tyndale, Director of Strategic Partnerships with Kleen-Rite Corp. Welcome to Wash Talk, Marc.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Hopefully you're doing just as good.
Pretty good.
Fantastic. So, want to talk about, the conveyor segment gets a lot of focus these days, right? And I know you're doing some work. You volunteered your time for the upcoming NRCC show to talk about, I believe you're primarily talking about the self-serve wash segment at that show, but I understand yourself and Kleen-Rite have really become a champion, not only for just self-serve, but also in-bay automatic wash segments. So given those wash segments a new look at Kleen-Rite, so we thought it would be a good time to get you on the program to see why so much attention is being paid to these wash segments these days and kind of the rejuvenation of self-serve and IBA wash segments. So, Marc, as you understand it, what is the current state of the in-bay and self-serve car wash segments these days?
Well, I think it depends on who you ask. We at Kleen-Rite, we kind of look through a different lens, since we supply to the entire industry. We supply repair and maintenance parts to the express chains. But our bread and butter and where we started was always self-serve and in-bay automatic. We always supplied to full service chains a long time ago, but the core of our business and where we feel that the industry is lagging a little bit is in the self-serve IBA, and that it's proving itself out through our podcast and talking to different operators and where they're at with their businesses, and there's also so much runway with self-serve and IBA to improve and take from what the express wave has done and learn from those business models and improve their businesses as well. There's just great runway in that segment, and we're seeing it every day.
I know you talk a lot about it on your podcast. Do you want to give it a plug and where listeners might be able to find that podcast?
So you can listen to Kleen-Rite Radio on whether it's Apple or Amazon. A lot of people watch it on YouTube. It's just Kleen-Rite Radio. If you type it into YouTube or Apple, it'll come right up. There's probably we put a session out every week, and I think there's 12 or 13 or 14 out right now, and we cover a little bit of everything from helping people improve their business to what does competition look like, whether it be another IBA or another self-serve down the road, or if the express tunnels are surrounding you and you are in the in-bay space or the self-serve space, how do you compete? Are the business segments different? We feel that there's enough diversity and there's still a great need for self-serve and in-bay automatics. And as an operator myself who's surrounded by express tunnels, I know for a fact that you can compete and you can be successful, but you do have to operate it more like a successful business rather than a hobby or, the self-serve segment started as a part-time job and it is it's something that people use to put their kids through college, and maybe they didn't have more than one site. Now you're starting to see bigger groups come together where they have 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 self-serve and IBA sites, and they're operated typically a lot different than the mom and pop single bay sites. So, Kleen-Rite, we serve them all and we love them all. They're all great customers. They're small, they're medium, and they're large, but it's a great segment of the business. And we had Eric Wolf on a couple weeks ago. I think that's coming out next week or the week after. It was just a great chat about where the industry is today and where it can go. And he agreed with us that some of the self-serve that were maybe at the lower end of the industry, they just fell out. They just dropped off. And then everybody in the middle uh, either improved or stayed the same. And then there's that top 10 to 20% who are just doing everything they can and succeeding. And a lot of them, me included, are having our best years ever. Now it's a weather industry. We don't rely as much on the clubs. I know a lot of operators are going to reoccurring revenue models, but it's not as big a part of our model as it is, say, for an express chain.
That's awesome. All right, sounds good. And as we're recording this in late August, that episode with Eric Wolf is probably already on your channel. So I encourage folks to go over there and listen to that interview. We've also had Eric Wolf on, and I know that's surely a great conversation. But Mark, just with your personal experience and the advice that you give other operators in a similar boat to you, if I am a self-serve or an in-bay automatic operator, and the industry estimates there's several hundred new build, a lot of them are conveyor locations these days. Certainly the big chains are acquiring some of these washes and renovating and remodeling. So these are big, beautiful buildings, these conveyor locations. If I'm an in-bay or a self-serve operator and I'm competing with one of these beautiful looking buildings, what's the best way to remain competitive and appealing in the modern car wash landscape?
Well, you said it. So one is, in a modern retail world, whether you're in the restaurant business or you're in the car wash business. I mean, let's face it, it needs to be beautiful. It doesn't have to be big, but it does have to be beautiful. And customer experience, we just had Marcus Cottrell on last week, and he talked about how Mammoth focuses so much on just making it easier on the customer. And I think the top operators kind of get it. They're not doing what's easiest for them. They're doing what's easiest for their customers to make using that one bay simpler, using the vacuum area or the vacuum plaza easier, improving their building, their aesthetics, adding light shows, getting your bays off the quarter mentality and getting it onto the dollar and the credit card mentality is easier on the customer. Making change at a changer really is a thing of the past. And some people are not willing to let that go, and that's fine. It's their business. But you do need to explore, apps and bill acceptors and credit systems, that whatever it may be, that can make the experience easier. Flipping out your signage constantly and really getting a brand around your small chain or your small site, and not just, ABC Street Car Wash that looks like it hasn't changed in 20-25 years.
Fair point. So obviously these wash formats, they have fewer employees on site, right? As opposed to, let's say, a full serve or even an express car wash. So how can operators improve customer touch points and overall ease of use to create that memorable experience that you're talking about?
So there is a recipe. It's not hard, right? Because part of what makes that model challenging is the part that makes it intriguing to small investor groups, people that are not backed by institutional money. They're going to the bank and getting a loan so your equipment has to work. If you're not chasing equipment repairs and your hoses aren't broken and your equipment is always operating, it is certainly a lot easier. Where you can have people on site, just a couple times a day to make sure the place is clean and there's not garbage around and that everything is working. The good operators check those stuff every day or twice a day or 3 times a day. And how they interact with the customer is something that we're doing another podcast on. It is how to really engage your customers and, talk to them and ask them what are the things they like, what are the things they do not like, because while we're at an advantage because we're in an investment that does not require a lot of labor, which is a huge advantage for somebody like me. I've got a full-time job. I've got 7 car washes. I have other investments, so there's a lot going on. I don't have time to be in my car wash. So it's a great investment for me. If I had 7 express tunnels and 45 employees, it would look differently. I'd have to have another high level manager or multiple high level managers. So that type of model is still very intriguing for a lot of people. But like you said, you have to make it easy on the customer. And that's new equipment, white, clean walls, lights that work all the time. Check your lights, make sure they're not out at night. Make sure that it's safe and secure. So people want to, that's the other advantage we have is most of us are 24/7. So people will go there at 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night and wash their car. And activity is safety, right? So if you have lots of activity, it's a safe place to wash your car. And I think self-serves have gotten a few black eyes over the years because people will treat a self-serve the way they think the owner treats it. So usually when we hear a lot about vandalism and issues, a lot of times, not always, there's a lot of times I don't want to say they deserve it or they should expect it, but some of it is just location based or demographic based. But I do believe that there is a better way to do it, or I wouldn't be here. And I think a lot of guys are doing it really well. But I think the middle of our category needs to, as Phil famous Fix It Phil would say, up your game or raise your game.
And obviously, there's unique opportunities and challenges and best practices that go with each of our wash segments in this industry, but there are also universal best practices that go across the board, right? So you want to keep your site clean, free of garbage. For self-serve, that's a do-it-yourself kind of customer base. So you want to make sure things like vacuums are working and are in good order, vending machines are working. Um, and obviously you want to make sure signage looks good. If there's a light out or something, you just want to
And
show that you care, right?
yeah, sure you care. And the big thing is make it easy for them to get in touch with you. So, I mean, that was always something that we, as a family business, we did a good job of. They can call 7 days a week. There's typically a human answering the phone. We're exploring some other AI chat lines where you can scan a QR code and have instant feedback while you're standing in the bay. I do have it, personally, I have enough people touching the site in a day that it does take care of a lot of problems between the service techs and the cleanup people. But if you're just a mom and pop and you both have full-time jobs and you've got kids in soccer and you're only maybe going there once a day, you still have to make it easy for the customer and, have your phone number everywhere, or an email or something because when they do have an issue or if they do have an issue, that instant feedback is a big deal to keep that customer.
All right, sounds good. And speaking of mom and pop, she must be reading my mind, Mark, because that's my next question here. Looking at the car wash industry today, if I'm a mom and pop or if I'm a smaller or newer investor in this industry, I might look at the potential of an express exterior car wash, look at all that membership, look at all that volume, and I'm just seeing dollar signs and comfortable margins everywhere, right? But then I get to learn how much it costs to either acquire or build a new one of these sites, and I'm looking at several $1 million worth of an investment just to get started. Where these in-bay automatic and self-serve segments seem to me to offer a lower cost of entry and barrier of entry. So, in what ways do you see the self-serve and in-bay automatic formats being an investment for these smaller mom and pop investors today?
So 100%, you're right. It's there's less barrier to entry, and I think we are seeing a lot of people jumping in right now, new to industry. they're going and taking. I mean, they're getting steals on some of these car washes. That somebody like me maybe spent 2 million, 20 years ago to build it, and now you can buy them for 120 or 150,000, 170,000 in certain parts of the country. To me, even if it's 500,000, it's a good deal if it has good bones and you can turn it around and fix it up, because most of them still have life in them if they have a good location. So we are seeing a lot of that. We're seeing, operators age out. They didn't have heirs that wanted to take over, so they're selling at reasonable rates. And I think the biggest hiccup that new investors are making with that is the capital, doing the homework to know how much capital you need to turn something around, rather than just operate it the way that it was before. And we see a lot in our daily grind. We get a lot of calls from people that just buy a car wash with no capital budget to improve the car wash, and then they're a little stuck. But the investor that looks at a $120,000 car wash and then says, okay, well, before I buy this, what's it going to take to really make it a modern, today car wash? Maybe it's 500,000 on top of the 120. It's still a great investment with a 3 to 5 year payback. It's a great business, and those opportunities are all over the country. You just have to have a little bit of expertise, and you do need to ask a lot of questions and do your due diligence, and talk to distributors, talk to Kleen-Rite, whatever it takes to find out before you go in. But it's a fantastic opportunity right now to get some of these sites. Or if you're already in it and you haven't invested in 20 years, it's a great opportunity to, 2x, 3x, 4x what you're doing. And even if you do have competition, you can do it.
Yeah, the land requirements are much smaller and different compared to a conveyor wash, so that there's a lower cost there. And just from a competitive differentiator, Mark, I'm sure, in a world of express exterior washes building all over the country, to be the only self-serve or in-bay automatic in a location, that certainly offers a way to be different and stand out for the pack, from the pack for sure. But Mark, one of the things that we talk about a lot on PCND and carwash.com is all this technology that's pouring into the space. I don't know about you, but for me, for several years, those tap to pay solutions weren't really working as great as they should be. I see that they're getting a lot better in the stores that I frequent anyway. But where do you see payment options headed, including app-based, which you mentioned? Is there an opportunity for subscription in these wash segments, like a membership club type thing?
Sure.
And how should operators, in these segments best prepare for these changes?
Right. So a lot of operators who have IBAs have been doing subscription plans for now 7 to 10 years. Some are just getting into it now. On the IBA side, it's a no-brainer. It works. I mean, we talked the other day about what somebody should expect in an IBA. So in a tunnel, the model is, get 90% on membership, or some have even higher, 95%. In the IBA world, most of us are probably in that 30 to 40% range of membership versus pay as you go, which is a great thing, to be honest with you, because it's still great margin when you have pay as you go customers. And some of them come in and out of the subscription plans, but they're still your customers. So where we're seeing a lot of activity or a lot of questions is around the self-serve clubs. And I think there's definitely, you're going to see more of it. We're a little slower to move that direction and get our arms around it. I know I'm playing with it right now, trying to figure out the best way to do it. They're out there. There's options like Everwash in the self-serve base that I'm using, and there's the Coinless app. There's 4 or 5 or 6 of them. You can do it through Hamilton. You can do it through your ICS. DRB has Beacon Mobile. So there's a lot of opportunities. And then even when you have a coin box, there's multiple opportunities for different types of card readers. Some are tap only, some are swipe only, some are tap chip. Some you can buy bundles up front on a little screen, like a NIAX, where you can just buy more time and get a discount, which is another great way of doing it. I think that the floodgates have not even opened on what's going to change in the next 5 to 10 years. I think you could see there's already guys doing touchscreen only in the Bay, and basically they're cashless, just using your phone. The industry is slow to go that way because the mom and pops love cash. The bigger operations, once you get 7 or more sites, cash is not exactly what you want. You want less cash management, the bigger you get. So I think we're going to see more changes in the next 5 to 10 years than we did in the last 30 in self-service especially. IBA continues to kind of grow with the payment options, tailing a little bit behind the express tunnels, but most of the POS companies out there have done a really good job on the IBA side, managing clubs and subscription plans. So more to come on that, but I think there's anything you can do to make it easier on the customer, which subscription plans, they do want them. It just has to be easier on the customer.
All right. So outside of payment and making payment easier for the customer, are there any game-changing technologies entering in-bay automatic and self-serve operations that these operators can look at to really up their game and go to the next level today?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of folks are running, 15, 20-year old IBAs, and they're 7-8 minutes long. To get volume, you have to get a clean car, and automatics have changed. The technology has changed, and something that's washing cars today is going to do a better job than something that is 20-year-old technology. Even if it works, it may not be the best. And let's face it, it should be eye appealing too, right? So some machines are just better on the eyes than others. So that helps to grow your business. The light shows in the bays, I know, definitely helped our in-bay business. I don't know the exact ROI on it, but I know that we've seen a definite uptick in usage, even whether it's pay as you go or club membership. In the self-serve world, Kleen-Rite came out with a new equipment this year that can get the chemical out to the bay faster. You have less hoses, and it is a different customer experience. We're doing, vibrant colors and scents in the bay. The other thing that we're doing is we're testing, offering them vending in the bay, and it's actually testing pretty well. Cashless, it's just a tap to get a car care kit. We'll roll that out to vacuum islands and, what other area you want to, try to capture your vending again, because vending has fallen off a little bit since Amazon and Walmart will deliver it to your door next day, that kind of stuff. So I think that especially with the self-serve is where there's the biggest room to grow. I think the IBA folks are trailing close enough behind that they're doing a good job. But self-serve, wand bays, people will always want to use them. We're always going to have work trucks. We're always going to have, mutter trucks and whatever you want to do. I have a lot of customers that have high-end antique cars. I have one guy that's got a dozen of them, and he won't take them through an automatic. So, and then there's just people who love to wash a car, themselves, but they don't want to get the bucket out at home. So we're always going to have those people. They're not so. It's not so different that people won't want to do it.
No, I personally visit a self-serve near my house, and I still enjoy washing my car as well. So that's great. And you talked a little bit about the capital requirements and how and where you should spend your money. Obviously, when we look at the express conveyor segment, Mark, you want a minimum of an acre of land. Rectangle is a rectangular lot, as the shape is an ideal shape to have. When you look at the in-bay automatic and the IBA segments, if I'm a new investor watching this video, what do I need to know in terms of how much land I need, the capital to get in, what shape of the land? Do I want to be attached to another, like a quick lube or a gas station? Is that a good strategy? What are those frequently asked questions that you get asked?
So, um, the, the land is a little bit of the rub, because I've bought land and developed it. You, for a self-serve IBA, you still want that 1 acre rectangle, or more, to, depending on how many bays that you want. The older style washes that you see that were very narrow with little stacking in the front and the back are really not the ideal self-serve IBA sites. The ones that are really good are 3/4 to 1.25 acres rectangle. And maybe when you're looking for land, okay, so if it's an express site, an express guy or a Chick-fil-A have probably already acquired it or put a letter of intent on it. So the runway for the self-serve IBA guy, rather than greenfielding a site, which is, I would still do today if you found the right site, but you're competing for that $1 million land with other people. So that then you can survive on a B site, B real estate, C real estate with a good self-serve IBA. I would say more B than C, but your capital expenditure is still going to be pretty good. I mean, the last one I priced out a couple years ago to build for somebody was, 3 in-bay automatics and 3 self-serve bays. It was a little over $3.5 million, with about $500,000 in land cost, which, for central PA was fair, reasonable, right? If you're going out on that main street where there could be a McDonald's, there could be a Chick-fil-A, there could be an Express, you might be talking, you might not even be able to buy it. It might be lease only. But it could be $1.5 million, 1.25. So, that's why I think personally finding a stale self-serve IBA that has good bones and a good location, there's much more you can get running a lot sooner. You can get revenue. It doesn't take 2 or 3 years to build it. You don't have to go through zoning and planning and, the entitlements that you do for a new build. So, when the express car washes are doing these things, they have whole teams. They have a real estate team. They're out trying to find the best dirt. They have an engineering team. The equity companies are paying big money to get these sites entitled and then built. So it's a heavy lift for a mom and pop to get $7 million. But if you can find one and repurpose it, that's great. Or if you want to build one, you have to look for the people that know how to succeed in that business, and ask a lot of questions. Will this work? And you have to realize if you're going to build, you're not going to do it for under $1 million. You're not going to do it for under 2, I think, if you do it right. Because in 2025, why would anyone build, unless you're in a really small town, why would anybody build something that has less than 2 or 3 automatics? I mean, I know I wouldn't. I would have at least 2, maybe even 4. And the self-serve bays are nice because what what I used to do was pick the automatics the way you want it, and the self-serve is whatever's left over. So if there's enough for 2 or 3 or 4, get your revenue capture is really through the IBAs. Then the self-serve kind of just tucks right in behind it.
And just from my perspective, on the outside looking in, I'm not an operator. I haven't been an operator, but the in-bay automatic segment offers several different models of, friction, touchless, hybrid. So if you do have multiple bays on a site, you could expand your customer reach by serving these different customer bases, so to speak. But and what a message it says to the community if you do spot a distressed property, a self-serve distressed property that has been ignored and is getting a little dilapidated and sad around the town, to go to that planning board or the community and say, I'm interested in turning this site around, making it beautiful, making it a good member of society, so to speak, and a good business to visit. I'm sure that goes a long way with the community as well. That's a nice message. But all right, Mark, you've given me a lot of your time today. I'll get you off the hot seat with this final question. You mentioned a little bit 5-10 years from now, what the role that self-serve and in-bay automatic car washes play in this broader car wash industry. So if you can project 5 to 10 years out, what do those wash segments look like as they're competing with these express exteriors?
Yeah, I think you're going to see more on a smaller scale. You're going to see the self-serve in-bay automatic professionalize a little bit more, stealing or copying from what some of the express chains have done. And I think you're going to see the larger operators snatch up some of the smaller operators. I don't think you're going to see a total consolidation of IBA and self-serve, just because the commonality of the equipment and the geography, it's a heavy lift for the size of the transaction. So I don't think you're going to see a ton of institutional money in it. I think you might see some family office type stuff. But I do think you're going to see more professionalized, bigger, more beautiful self-serve IBAs over the next 5 years.
That's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for the customers and a win for the industry as well. If we can get those and elevate those segments up and get them looking great for the communities that they've served. So, Mark, I definitely appreciate your time. I know you're doing good work at Kleen-Rite with the new podcast, Kleen-Rite Radio. So I encourage folks to go over and give it a listen. I enjoyed our conversation today, Mark, and I appreciate you taking some time with carwash.com today.
Hey, great questions. Thank you.